Welcome everybody to another episode of Meet Me in Napa. Your host here, Jeremy Jackson. I am truly excited to have a very special guest here today. I know I say that often about a lot of people, but everybody. But
I've seen some episodes.
Yeah, you see some. All right, yeah. No, but this guy here, man, you know, Mr. André Mack. How you doing today?
I'm doing amazing today, man.
André,
Amazing.
you know, your resume, I don't want to go down the list of all that you've done and what you do in the industry. If you're in the wine, you're in the world of wine, we know who you are. You know
Thank
what I mean?
you. Yeah.
And we'll give a little bit about, you know, who you are for those who don't.
Yeah.
But I just want to start off with just saying thank you for coming here today to sit down with me to talk on my podcast. You bring so much credibility to what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I'm not, you know, everybody knows I'm not a wine guy.
Yeah.
But I live in Napa Valley.
Correct.
And one of the things that I saw, you were early inspiration when I was beginning to start this journey because, you know, you're in the world of wine and you're a sommelier. You could have just played that in the background, but you're heavy into the media side.
Yeah.
And so as I was doing my podcast and research and watching other people who are in the wine world, you were somebody that I studied a lot.
Thank you.
To have you here, we be in the barbershop. I work in a barbershop, and I'd have the Bon Appetit.
Oh, yeah.
And we'd just be in there watching it, you know, just in there watching it. And there's a lot of wine in the shop. So, yeah, I just thank you for coming on, man.
No, man, I feel honored to be here. Thank you.
Yeah,
it's not a lot of times that, you know, that I get to be on podcasts where a lot of people look like me. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah. And I understand that. I'm like changing the game for, you know, Napa Valley and the look and the vision. But no good conversation starts without a glass of wine, right?
Okay.
All right. So let's grab this here. And we have some, what do we have here?
I'm the mic.
I think you picked the, Julian, yeah.
So this is
I guess
this is a classic.
Yeah.
Their Napa Cab. I'm not familiar with this actual particular wine, but I do. You know, Julian, I had kind of heard of, like just living in the valley back in the day, and so I don't know. I felt like we're here. We might as well.
Yeah, we have some.
We might as well taste the classic.
We are here at the Maison Noir tasting room, is where we're talking today. So
totally.
so it's just an old day to him. Thank you for allowing us to come into your space today. So cheers, man.
No, thank you.
Cheers.
Awesome.
So let's get into a little bit about it. You know, you talk about wine on a lot of your content, and anybody who follows you would, you know, you can learn a lot. I've seen you eat cheeseburgers with wine. I've seen you open up $1,000 bottles of wine and test them. But what's your origin story? Like, where were you born? Where'd you come from? What led you into the wine space? How did that progress for you?
Yeah. It's interesting because like wine was never a part of my family growing up or our background. Not even drinking, really. For me, I guess just like being around wine, seeing it. But truly, I got into wine by watching old episodes of Frasier. So it was that sitcom. I think it was like, I don't know, WB or like one of those ones. Like, they used to play back episodes like during the afternoon or something, like after Judge Judy. I can't remember, but
I remember that lineup.
Yeah. You remember and then so I'd watch it, and you know, I thought it was kind of corny, right? It just wasn't kind of like, it took me a minute to get into it. But as I started to get into it, what I noticed was like the camaraderie around alcohol, the brothers. So. And they were kind of characters of themselves, and so they really kind of made fun of themselves for being snobs.
Okay.
And that made it inviting, and it made you laugh. And I don't know, that show gave me the courage to walk into a wine shop for the first time in my life.
Wow.
Not that I ever thought that I would be doing the kinds of things that I'm doing now or have a life in wine. It was just more about like, I wanted to enjoy wine in the way that they were enjoying wine. So it was just like, it was like an invitation to invite wine into my life. And that was kind of the catalyst.
Okay.
Like, so watching that show, you know, Sancerre. First time I heard Sancerre. So you're like, oh, okay, that's Sauvignon Blanc. How to say Gewürztraminer. That 61 Bordeaux was a famous vintage, right? I learned because they were talking about 61 Haut-Brion. They were the Cork Master. First time I ever heard the word Gaia, like the producer, were all from the show.
Okay. You know, I missed all that when I was watching. I was
see?
I was just laughing at the jokes, but I kind of missed the one. But it makes sense. I'm like, that's true.
But when the first blind tasting I saw, when they were messing around and like they were actually blindfolded, and you know, and so like all of that was just like, wow, like this was interesting to me. And as I got more and more into it, obviously, then you catch what's called the wine bug.
Yeah.
And that was it. I I was working in finance, and then I got laid off. I quit. I took severance, and that's when I started watching the show. And
so this is like what, early 20s, mid 20s?
Yeah, I'm probably about 27,
okay.
25.
So like mid 20s.
Yeah,
okay.
so 25, and you're like, wow, I didn't really like that. I was a licensed stockbroker, and I was like, this doesn't like. And then I kept saying to myself, well, I have maybe another 10 years to be good at something, because at 35. In the business world, you're still considered young. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay, maybe, I don't know. So I went back to waiting tables after the severance kind of ran out. And the whole idea of just I worked at shitty restaurants, right? So like, I worked at Red Lobster. There was only 3 wines.
That was fine dining back in the day.
No, it was fine dining, and they only had 3. They only had 3 wines on the wine list, and they were all white Zinfandel, right? So I didn't learn shit about wine.
Yeah.
But it was just working at better restaurants with better wine lists, and I would have to say, I think it was about 18 months from watching those episodes of Frasier that I found myself as the sommelier here at the French Laundry.
Wow!
So it was really quick in that sense, but like I spent every waking moment I was studying wine.
I was about to say, like, to have from that introduction of falling in love to getting to French Laundry, you had to like immerse yourself into the culture.
So I mean, this is how it was, right? Like there was the internet, but there wasn't like, most restaurants didn't have their wine list online. So I was trying to figure out what's wine, right? So like I worked at like Red Lobster, and then I went to go work at the Palm Steakhouse, and that's kind of really where the light bulb went off, and I heard of this thing called a sommelier, and then that's when I was just like in it, and I was like trying to figure out like, so what's great wine? So what I did is that I think it was like maybe 5 or 6 different restaurants, top restaurants in America. I called them and asked them to email me their wine list, and some of them didn't have email; they faxed it to me. Right? That's how this is. Yeah, this is how long ago it was. Yeah. And so I had everybody's wine list out, and I would hit the different sections. So it'd be like, okay, Chablis, they all have this producer in Chablis. This must be good. Then I'd look it up. There's no internet, right? So there's no, like, you can't just hop on there.
You can't just chat GPT
it up. So it's just like, I'm like in there. And then, I don't know, man, I'd learned by retention. A lot of that is like, so I bought a big ass dry erase board in my dining room. And, I get off work at 10:30 and I'd probably crash around 4.
Wow.
And I would spend all of that time studying and learning about wine. During the day, I'd work a double. In between the double, lunch. I'd gather up the most servers that I could find, and we would go to this place, this Vietnamese restaurant that had this crazy wine collection that was cheap. So I'd try to get all of them to buy in. So it would be less money we had to spend, and we could sample the most wine.
Wow.
And that was how it worked. And it was just like, and then, you meet, like, a lot of it's timing too, right? Like, I just can't, meeting the right people at the right time, right? My mama used to say, hey, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
Get ready. Yeah.
Right? So like, it was that thing of like, but also kind of confused about like, I'm ready, but I'm not sure for what. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and so the opportunities just came, and like, they didn't come from just like sitting back and like waiting for somebody to choose me. It was more like asserting myself. I mean, there was I think maybe it was a wine enthusiast magazine or something like that. And I remember the whole cover story was called Wine List Confidential. And it was talking about all the insides and outs of wine lists. And they featured 3 people in it. And after I read that article, I picked up the phone and called every single one of them.
Wow.
And I was like, I want to come stage. I heard what a stage is. And, it's normally a chef doing it. But I didn't know that sommeliers could do it. So I just calling them and asking them. And from that, I went and staged at Charlie Trotter's. I called Virginia Phillips, but like she never picked up, something like that. And then I kept calling this guy named Paul Roberts. And he was located in Houston, so he was the only one in the state. And, I went and staged at Charlie Trotter's.
Yeah.
I came back, I went and staged with, I spent one night with Paul, and just how the stars aligned. I think I met him on a Thursday. Earlier in that week, on that week on a Monday, he accepted the job to be Thomas Keller's wine director.
Wow.
And so we worked the floor, and we were just, I learned the table numbers. He was like, the table? I was like, yeah, you gave me the floor plan.
Well, it sounds like, because you said you were a stockbroker, that sounds like that's a very like assertive industry. Like you can't just sit around and wait for that. So you just took that same mindset.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think
applied that.
Yeah,
to
I don't think it's the mind. Like I've always had it even before that. That's how I even got the stockbroker.
That's how you got the stockbroker.
Yeah. Well, it's like, well, you just you call people, and like I don't know. It was just like this thing, and then I remember getting there, and I had cold feet where I was like, nah, I don't want to go. I don't want to go in. You know what I mean? Like, fucking, I'd much rather go shopping or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'll go in. And I went in and it changed my life. Like, at the end of working that service with him, he's like, I got to hire 6 sommeliers for all of Thomas's properties. Do you want to come to the French Laundry?
Wow.
And I was like, fuck yeah.
What was that? So what was that time frame from falling in love to Fraser to French Laundry? What was that?
That's
a year,
18
2 years? 18,
like 18 months.
18 months.
Less than 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So so there to French Laundry. So you're in New York.
No, I live in Texas.
You were in Texas, right?
Yeah.
I know you're from Texas, but all this happened in Texas.
All this happened in Texas.
Even though then okay,
I worked at the Palm. I worked at the Palm Steakhouse. So I was a licensed stockbroker, but I worked for Citibank.
Okay.
And so it was at a call center in San Antonio. And so that's kind of what I was doing. And then I left that, right? Because it didn't seem fun. I liked the interaction with people. I waited tables for many years up until that point. And then it was like, hey, I got into wine. So I'm still living in Texas.
Okay.
And then I work at this place called the Palm Restaurant. That's where I even heard of the whole thing of what a sommelier is, right? I never heard of that. And just because I think for me, it's like, because I already worked in a restaurant, being a sommelier made sense to me.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, but it's like
you saw it. Yeah, you might have saw it and like, okay,
Yeah.
now that you understand, you're like, I want that.
Yeah.
And you just went after it.
Well, yeah, no, it's the same thing. Where it's like, no, they like, they like. I was like, oh, so you're the sommelier? And he's like, oh yeah, I buy the wine for the whole group of the Palm. And I'm like, that's a job? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, you're so confused. You're like, that's a job. It's like, okay, I think I want to do that.
So what's so interesting is because, see, now, today, due to stuff like social media, people can see trades, other walks of life that we just weren't exposed to.
Correct.
I tell people all the time, I grew up 15 minutes from Napa.
Okay.
Did not know the industry that you could come work and do something here.
Correct.
And here it is, a $1 billion industry, 15 minutes away. Never crossed my mind.
Got it.
To come to be a worker, be a chef, do whatever it is, right?
Yeah, totally.
And so I just to have that kind of passion and assertiveness, that's amazing.
Well, to have the exposure.
Yeah, to have the exposure, right? But you were exposed because you immerse yourself in it. Yeah. So that's big kudos. So to get to French Laundry that quick is like, that's a big deal.
Yeah, I had never worked in fine dining before.
And so tell me this.
Yeah.
What was the culture shock for you from Texas? Now you're at French Laundry. And well, people don't, if you don't know, that's Yountville.
Yeah. Totally.
That's even smaller than Napa, right?
Yeah, totally.
And so what was that culture shock like for you? What year was that?
This is like 02, 03.
02, 03.
Yeah.
So what was that like? What was that culture shock like for you and the experience of doing that?
Well, I mean, I think I was just immersed in the culture of the restaurant, right? Okay. So I didn't spend much time doing anything else.
Yeah.
And so when I got here, it felt like, I don't know, I've always felt behind, right? But like I said, I've never worked in a fine dining restaurant like that, right? Tasting menu, none of that. So I think I probably worked maybe 40 days straight, 30-something days straight.
Wow.
And I don't know, I always had that mentality that I needed every day that I worked to be like, not just one day. I needed to count it. It needed to count for like 2 or 3 days.
Right.
And so I was always around. I was always there. And the more time you're spend at the restaurant, the more experiences things happen.
Yeah.
I think the biggest culture shock when I first got there was it was during these rolling blackouts in California, and so I was exhausted. I was just like, oh my God, like just really overwhelmed. You worked at a place where I thought like a hard day's work meant like your back hurt.
Yeah.
Like there, your back hurt and your fucking brain was mush, right? Like the expectation and the level was so high that it just felt like, oh wow, okay. And then I remember one day, the lights go out, the power goes out, and I'm like, we get to go home. You know what I mean? I was like, we're going home. I'm like, oh my God.
Light the candles up.
Yeah, and everybody's moving and running around. I'm like, why is everybody moving so quick? Like, aren't we going to go home? I said, how are they going to cook the food?
Yeah.
And then I remember Laura Cunningham says, oh, it's gas. And she told everybody to get the candles.
Get the candles.
And the show must go on. And that's when I realized the level of where I was at. I understood what this meant. And somehow, I caught a second win and we finished the night.
Was Chef Keller hands-on with the wine program like he is with the chef, or was there somebody else that was?
No. So Paul Roberts was the beverage director.
Paul Roberts was the beverage director.
So he was like the first corporate beverage director for Thomas. And I think for me, so he was my direct boss, and then obviously I interacted with Thomas every day because he lived there.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So he lived right behind.
But he wasn't hands on as far as with the wine pro. It was all Paul.
Yeah, it was Paul. But I mean, hold on, it's his place. Let's get it wrong.
Yeah, right. No, without a doubt.
He's saying I don't like that. Then he don't like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he was kind of hands off in that way. But like, it was intense.
How did your family, like when you were telling your people back at home, I'm a different, did they even understand?
My mama didn't know.
They didn't even understand.
My mama said, "So what you doing, baby? You Somalia? You're from Somalia? What's happening?" She's like, "Baby, so you get paid what?
Yeah.
To do what?
To do what? And you working how much?
Yeah. And so I remember she came out and had dinner and then she understood.
Then she understood.
Yeah, but I remember she's like, "Oh, the menu's in French. Just don't tell me what it is, otherwise I'm not gonna eat it." Like, you know what I mean? She's like, don't even translate it.
She old school Southern woman.
Yeah. Just say it just like that. And so, you know what was also interesting was the culture was unlike any other place I had worked at. Right, like it wasn't like the manager would come over and say, "Stop doing that," and then the manager would leave, and then you go back to playing grab ass or whatever he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like your peers held you to a standard.
Yeah.
Which I had never worked in a place like that, where it's like, no, they told you, quit fucking around. We don't do that shit here.
Yeah.
They said it.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. It was a remarkable place to work. I felt like it shaped me as a young man and the person I am today. I remember we used to have this saying there that, work to impress the person that you work with side by side, because there's nobody else in it the way that we're in it. Meaning, and so, because if you can impress the person that you're working side by side with, then anybody who walks through the front door is blown away, right? Like, I remember, like, it just felt like somewhat of a cultish summer camp.
Yeah, like a Navy SEAL.
Yeah, like, so you just, I was like, well, damn, I just saw him. We just left this bitch at 2:30, 3 in the morning. And I walk into, I got to get some stuff out of the champagne cooler. And, we both wiping the sleep out of our eyes at the same time, right?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
And there was something about it. There was dedication. And there was camaraderie, and there was a bond. And I don't know. It just, I think it created the drive. I remember having an interview with Thomas, and he's like, "Why do you want to work here?" And I thought it was some type of joke, you know what I mean? But when we really boiled it down, I said, because I need discipline. I said, because where I work at now, there's only a handful of people that care. And that's maybe me and one other person, and maybe the owner.
Yeah.
I said, but when I need somebody to help pick me up when I'm not feeling my best, right? Like what else? I need to stand. He's like, "No, we can give you discipline here." That's what he said.
One thing you knew for sure.
That's what he said. And that was it. I got the call, and that was it, man. And I realized that I was at a disadvantage because of that. But I remember I was definitely afraid to give the pre-shift, right? So it was like shit. And I didn't want to be nervous anymore. And so I went to the chef and I said, if I'm ever in this building, can you make me do the meeting? If I'm on the property, can you make me do the meeting? I might be counting inventory. It might be my day off. Make me do the meeting.
Where did that kind of self-awareness, because as you're talking about your journey, I'm hearing a lot of self-awareness in that journey. Where do you think that came from? Like, how,
I don't know. Just like, I think so. I wanted to play ball, right? I wanted to play basketball. Like there was no plan B. That was plan A. And then, you get stuck on this thing called potential. And I realized that that had gone and went, that had passed.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, if I was ever good at anything else, I would squeeze the life out of it.
Wow.
And I think that was it. Like,
you dropped some gems.
No, seriously, bro. Because but also you live I was maybe only 25, but it felt like you had lived many lives, right? Or it's you're when you make not the wrong decisions, but sometimes you're in a certain part of your life where you're like, damn, this is my life.
Yeah.
I can remember when I didn't have nothing. I'm just sitting there, working, and you're like, this sucks. But then also telling myself, well, what do you want out of work? I think everybody goes to work, and there's got to be fulfillment, right? And then pay. But my thing is like, what else can I learn at work? And I remember when I was a waiter at the Palm, I would come in that was my mindset. I come in at 10 o'clock. The first people didn't show up until 11. I showed them at 10. I did everybody's side work. I opened the restaurant, except for, I can't remember, there was one thing I hated doing, so I left that for everybody else. Right?
But you did everything else.
Did everything else,
I believe that for
sit back, right? And then it was like, oh, what are the chefs doing? Like, just learning the business. And I think the thing with Thomas doing the meeting, that was I understood that was a life skill, being able to publicly speak. See what I'm saying? And that's what I tell young kids today. What other skills you want to learn at work, like that you can do that. You can, like, just because you learn your job and you could do it backwards or with your eyes closed, most people leave it at that. Right? And they go home, and it's everybody's right to. It's no judgment.
Yeah.
But for me, it was more like, what else could I do here?
Yeah.
What else could I get out of this? And that was it. Like, I was just like, oh, like someday I could use this. Like, like behind death, public speaking is number 2, like biggest fear.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just want to be good at doing this. Right. And, and now, like,
yeah, now you're doing it.
45 minutes on stage, I can make 50 grand.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, did I say that out loud?
Oh man, hey, I need to get my first TED talk, man.
but you see what I'm saying? It was like those are, and it's the same way. Like, with my children, it's like, oh well, like everybody's getting signed up for soccer, which is cool. I have nothing against it. But like, swimming is a life skill. Not only could they save somebody else's life, they can save their own life. And so that's how I kind of looked at it. I was like, no, what else can I be good at work? Like, what can I, and that was it. I was like, I want to do the meeting every day. And I did the meeting, and you just became comfortable, especially being comfortable in your own knowledge, because those people know a lot too, your peers.
Yeah.
And so that made you be on point. That made you, like, you had the butterflies, you had all of that.
Yeah.
And then after doing that, it was just easy.
Wow.
It just came to me.
So, question. So you fell in love with wine. You said real quick.
Yep.
What was the wine that grabbed you first? I mean, I'm pretty sure you tasted wine and all that, but in the beginning, what was the wine that grabbed you first? Like, where was it from? What region?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It was Voss Vineyards, Napa Valley Sauvignon Blanc.
Napa Valley. Yeah.
It just wasn't. It was so funny because it wasn't like this. It was an aha moment, but it wasn't a like crazy cultish wine that did it for me. And so this is during the training. We were training for the Palm Steakhouse, and we did wine training 2 nights. We did one night from like 6:30 to 8:30. We tasted the white wines, and then the next day we did the red wines. But what was interesting, it was a smaller list, like maybe 60 selections, but we tasted probably about 50% of the wines on the wine list. And we did this exercise. We had a glass of Riesling, we had a glass of Sauvignon Blanc, and we had a glass of Chardonnay. First time I've ever had 3, more than 1 glass of wine in front of me.
Yeah.
And, it seems very elementary, but like, I never thought about it in that way, where you're like, oh yeah, like they're all white wines, but they all taste differently. But like the closest I ever got to tasting them was like when a new bottle was being poured, and you had to take whatever was in the glass to the dome, and then they poured you another one, right?
Yeah.
But this was a beautiful way to taste, right? Because you could vacillate between all 3 different glasses, and you could really pick up the nuances and the differences in the wine. And I just remember how Sauvignon Blanc smelled: grapefruit, white pepper. Like, you know what I mean? It was different than all of them. And that's when the light bulb went off. Like, it wasn't like, oh my God, this wine is so amazing. Like, tasting, it was like, this shit is fascinating. I want to know more about this.
Yeah.
And that was it. Like, that, so tasting, like, that point right there was like when I was like, I'm in it.
So as you started to progress and you got deeper into it, what did you begin to fall in love with? Where are you at now in your like tasting wine journey? Like, what would you go in to grab a bottle? What's your choice, or order a bottle online, whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just depends. Like, Burgundy, I love. Back roads of Burgundy, exploring like different regions. I do I do collect. I hate to say I collect. I don't. Right. I don't, like, somehow that feels weird to me.
Yeah.
So I know I collected. So I bought a wine store. So that, you know what I mean. So it's a difference, right? But yeah. So I was attracted. I had a bar in New York City that only served old American wine back to the 50s.
Okay.
So you can find me drinking that. I mean, I don't discriminate. Like, I think like for me, Old Riesling is probably a go-to. Old German Riesling, Alsatian whites, Burgundy. I mean, I like it all, right? So it's not like, what I like about wine is it's kind of like, picking out a pair of shoes. Like, what's the occasion?
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying?
Look at your outfit.
Yeah,
you're
like, I'm going to a barbecue. This is what I'm going to bring. I'm going here. This is what I'm going to bring. Like, oh shit, I got a Magnum. Like, hold on. Right? You know what I mean? So like, to me, it was always about bringing wine to like like a situation. Like when you go to the beach, you dress a certain way. When you go to a black tie affair, you dress a certain way.
Right,
and I felt like wine paired with situations, and that was super fun for me.
One of the things I learned very quickly living in Napa is that I started to know how much someone liked you by the type of bottle they brought too when they came to dinner. So when I say, oh, okay, we must really be friends. I put something on the table, and it's an interesting thing, and that's really true. I like that comparison that you made. So you go through this journey, and you're really big on the social media platforms. Yeah. And so why did you get into that space, and what led you to dominate that space in the wine world, and how was that working for you? What were the things that led up to that?
It's just right time, right place, meeting people. So I met this guy. His name was Gary Vanderchuck. You might know him as Gary.
Oh man,
V.
come on, Gary. Tell Gary V to come on the podcast, man.
Gary, you coming on the show, man? What's up?
What's up with that, man?
I was working at Per Se. So I worked at the French Laundry, and then I moved to New York City. I had never been to New York City before.
Okay.
To run the beverage program at Per Se.
Okay.
And so I did that for 3 years. Early on, like when I first got there, when the restaurant was new, a distributor came in, the owner and my sales rep, and then another sommelier, and then there was this other guy. So it was a four-top. And this guy was just yapping the whole time, and I'm like, what's going on here? And then he gets up. This is Gary. He gets up and goes to the bathroom. And I come over to a table, and I was like, who the fuck is this guy?
He's
like
just talking.
Yeah, it was like, what's his deal? Like, I go, what's his deal? They're like, oh, you don't know Gary? I go, fuck no, I don't know Gary. What do you mean? And he's like, he sells the most wine over the internet.
Yeah. I
said, him?
Yeah.
He said, yeah. And then that's where he comes back to the table, and we just start chopping it up.
Wow.
And talking. And then, and then we became fast friends. And then I think one time he came, I invited him to my house. We're going to do a blind tasting at my house. And I remember he just shows up at the house, and he's got like a bottle of Barolo and a bottle of Cristal. And he's like, what's up? And I was like, dude, you're supposed to, I thought we were doing a blind tasting, right? So I call the wine shop around the corner. I'm like, listen, can we get like 6 whites, 6 reds? Like, this is the price budget, and you guys choose, and then if you can just wrap them up. And so we had to wait a minute. And I remember he goes into my kitchen, and he's like, whose laptop is this? I go, mine. And he flips it open, and he starts to show me the traffic to Wine Library. This is before he shot any video.
Wow.
And I was like, you have 2 IT guys at a wine shop? Like, most wine shops don't have any.
Yeah.
And this is when he was talking about how he built his dad's company, and he was so tech forward, and like, we just started to hit it off, and that was it. Actually, and like, my man's got chops. Like, don't get fooled. He called producer.
Yeah.
On some shit.
Yeah.
When we were blind tasting. And so he was just always an interesting character, but what I guess was like we had wine in common, but he was an entrepreneur back then.
Yeah.
Like, I remember we're meeting up, and we were out one night, like at this wine bar, and like his phone kept going off, and I'm like, dude, can you like shut that off? Like, what the fuck? Like, we're trying to talk. And he's like, oh, me and my brother AJ, we started this business, and every time the phone beeps means we made a sale. He goes, yeah. He goes, in 5 weeks or some shit like that, we've created a $250,000 business. And he was selling MySpace skins.
Wow.
Right? So this, like, we were just in it. And I just remember, he's like, yo, you on Twitter? I'm like, no. What's that?
Yeah.
He's like, no, you got to get on it.
Get,
I said, now I'm on it. He goes, well, I go, what do I do? I don't know. He goes, you use Twitter search. I said, what? He goes, well, type in Chardonnay. And then it'll show you all the conversations about Chardonnay. And then you just jump in and like give your 2 cents. I was like, that's kind of weird. He's like, no, that's what it's about. Like, so yeah, I mean, so on that space, I think for me, man, like, I was using social to sell shit.
Yeah.
Like, I can be honest about it, right?
Yeah.
Like, my thing was like, I want to sell some shit. The success of Maison Noir Wines, at the early success of making that transition to making wine, was built on Facebook dark posts, which was the prequel to Facebook ads. Like at the beginning, they weren't called ads; they were called dark posts.
I didn't even know it. I didn't even know until they were called Facebook ads.
So like that's some of the stuff like hanging around him that you understood, and you could target to zip codes.
Yeah, he's just a hustler. Like he knows how to get into the system and work it for his favor. But
and then I remember the day he bought a camera, and he's like, "I'm gonna shoot this video."
Yeah,
I'm like, "What?" And so I was like, but you're trashing the wines that you actually sell. He goes, well, that's me being authentic. That doesn't mean that it's not for me, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not for the, so that's how like I got on social. Like and social was to do that. And then, I left the restaurant. I wanted to continue to learn about wine, but outside of the four walls of the restaurant. And I felt like if I could make my own wine, I could scratch several other itches I had. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to have more creativity in my life. And that seemed like the route to go, right? And, I didn't have any money. I didn't write a business plan. It was through the good graces of people that I had met that, gave me free terms, extended terms, no terms.
Yeah.
And I made that work, right? I built a company off of receivables, but I left a job that most people don't leave. They hold on to. And I for me, I just...
that set the precedent for your rest of your career.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but it's always been that way where it's like, this just can't be as good as it gets, right? Like this, you know what I mean? So now I'm working. I was working at Citicorp. I was working in the bank. I was like, this is good. This is cool. This is good, but this can't be it. Like the thought of like this is what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life. I was like, there ain't no way.
You know what? It's it's funny you say that because I was thinking about when I was in my 20s. I was a young father, right?
Yeah.
So I was, sometimes when you're in those spaces, you got court different things. You just got to go to work, right? So it kind of took away. Well, I took away some opportunities that I could have jumped in, right? Having to work in warehouses. Man, I remember I had this one job. I was a machine operator.
Okay.
And it was right here, matter of fact, in Benicia, for people to know the area. It was right here in Benicia. I'm working there, and it was this company that made like it was this big machine that rolled these big balls of like lint things. I can't even explain it, but they would ship them off to NASA and they would wrap them for spaceships.
Okay.
It itched so bad.
Yeah.
I would itch. I would go to work and I would dread going to work because it would just make my skin itch. And they used to give us this Kevlar things to put over our, but it never worked, right?
Yeah.
And I remember one night I was in there, I was like, man, there got to be more to life than this.
Correct.
I just was doing that. I was like, man, and that was so many years ago. So I know what that feels like. I like quit that job, went somewhere else.
Yeah.
But I know that feeling, that burden of like, you have this desire to want to see something else, do more, see more, right? And even coming back what I was saying, even living 15 minutes from Napa, not knowing all this was here, right? And to be here now, it literally has changed my life. Like I'm sitting here doing a podcast, I'm sitting here talking to you. Right? I'm just doing all these things. I couldn't have said meet me in where I was living before. There was no reason to, And so, but I knew that there was more to life than what I was doing. And it's inspiring for you to hear that because I think sometimes people think, well, I have to be at this level to want more. And no, you have to start right where you're from.
You just got to want more.
You just got to want more.
You just got to want more. And I think for me, it was just like, I was willing to give up the good to chase the great. And like that was it. I mean, I was a stockbroker. I was working at this thing.
I don't got $50,000 to give you for all these gyms.
Yeah. I'm good, man.
You dropping them, man.
No, but that's it. It's like, oh shit. Okay, I'm working this job. It's like, I liked walking up to a table of strangers more than I liked this other part. And I was like, okay, so maybe I'll go back to the drawing board. So then I went backwards a little bit. And then I said, you know what? Like this wine thing, this looks great. And then, all of a sudden I rode that shit to the top. And now you're at the top and you're like, this can't be it, man. There's got to be more to that. And also, a lot of times what happens is when you make that change, now you're around other people. And you see what I'm saying? You're around other people that inspire you to want more too, right?
More. Yeah.
And so now it's like, okay, like I see these guys, maybe I can make wine. Maybe that could be it. But also, I wanted to do something. I thought maybe if I made wine, like that would be a way for me to give back to this industry that had given me so much. Like, how do I make my mark on this thing? And it's so funny because, at some point I thought it was, it was, design, because I'm a self-taught graphic designer because I couldn't afford a graphic design to design the wine label. So I designed my own. But during that process of learning, I designed t-shirts for the wine, like for the industry I was in. And like that business we still have till this day. And that's what we sold to create brand awareness before we were legally able to sell wine online.
Okay.
And so I thought, oh, well, maybe it's that. And then, then you come down and then all of a sudden, you're like consider like you're educating the masses because I just got in front of a camera.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I hear a lot of people say that they found wine through during COVID.
Yeah, totally.
I'm pretty sure your numbers scaled up during COVID. But I know people personally like, I used to watch his videos during COVID because I'm gonna drink wine. Everybody's in the house.
Yeah, no,
so now
totally.
people are buying wine and they found you and
that's what I say. It's timing. It's so
Yeah.
much of timing, and like I didn't even want to do it.
Yeah.
Like they came with like some weird ideas, but I was just like, listen, like I don't want to do any of that. But they're like, hey, would you rate wines under $15? And I paused for a second, and then somebody else on the Zoom says, do you even drink wine under $15? And I was like, of course I do. Mm-hmm. And then I said to them, can I use emojis to rate them? And they said, sure.
Yeah.
I said, let's do it. And so I signed like a 3-pilot deal. And then after the first one aired, then I signed a contract with them.
So now I got a question for you now.
Yeah.
Because wine's expensive.
Yeah.
Right. If I were to blind taste test you, when you not to figure out the region and all that, but if you like it or not, would you assume that the price on the ones that you tend to like the most, are they usually the most expensive ones?
Well, now it's so funny because now I can't take the hat off, right? In the sense of like, there's not a situation where I just like don't analyze the wine.
Yeah, right. Yeah, of
right.
course.
You know what I mean? And so it's funny too because like I know what I like, but a lot of the tasting and what we do is to evaluate to see whether or not we put it on the list or whatever, right? But it tends to be that way, right? Like you can sense quality in tasting the wine.
Okay.
And so maybe you gravitate to some of those, but like then again it goes back to what's the situation? Right, you're like, well, you know what, shit, like I would love this, like, you know what I mean, like, maybe not today, right now, but like whatever. But yeah, I think it's a skill, and I think there's people with photographic taste memories. Shout out Raj Parr, like amazing. And I just remember studying. I was like, I don't know if that's the part that I stumbled over because I didn't think I was going to be good at tasting.
Yeah,
and what I realized is that it was a skill that the more you taste, and you understood your palate and the way things hit your palate, that's when you became aware, and that's how you build a palate.
Okay,
is through tasting.
So for the very novice wine drinker, right now, let's just say, hey, this is my first glass of wine. What am I looking for? How am I understanding? Because now I'm around people out there like, oh yeah, I smell. I smell this.
So totally.
Yeah, right. So if teach me like I'm a fifth grader right now.
And
we pour this glass. What am I going to smell? What do you smell?
So what I would tell you is that smell the wine. Like, don't think of it in wine terms. Like, what do you smell? Like, if it smells like Big League Chew, then say it smells like Big League Chew. Or if it say like, hey, I smell like that the Christmas tree that you hang from the air freshener, the red one, the strawberry one, or whatever. Like I think people get caught up, like, so like to me, I smell.
Like I want to say, I want to say like raspberry, but I don't.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
I don't know if that's
but say raspberry
like
to
a
you.
fruit. Like yeah.
Yeah. So like sometimes they say give you 3 fruits, but like for me, I tell people like smell like, so at the beginning you have to get past yourself. All I could smell was alcohol.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't smell shit. But that's why tasting with other people that are more experienced tasters than you, that you start to understand. I bought like a kit that I would use all the smells.
Yes.
Right. So like I smell like currant. I smell like powdered cocoa.
Okay.
Like chocolate. I smell a little bit of cedar. Underneath that, maybe like chocolate covered cherries, if I was going to say something like that.
Yeah.
And then I smell oak, right? I smell the presence of oak, not in leather, but like it's more expressive in like warm baking spices. Like, so people say it smells oaky. Okay. So it smells woody. Okay. Oak expresses this way in several different ways, right? So do you smell vanilla? That's that could be from oak. Do you smell cedar? Do you smell tobacco? Like, those are all different ways that oak can express itself. And then when you taste, like, my thing is like sign of qualities, texture, weight of the wine, finish of the wine. Is it balance? And so when we talk about balance, like people are like, so what do you mean? It's like, well, is it more fruity than it is more alcohol, or does it have more acidity? Like the whole thing is that all of the parts are seamless in a way where, so if you taste it and it's too jammy, then that means the wine's out of balance.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Generally what you're chasing in wine is like why you lay down a wine is for all of those parts to be balanced.
So one of the things that my buddy told me, he said, oftentimes when you are going to get wine, it's like, don't just focus on the wine itself. He said, ask who the winemaker is. He's like, I always ask, when someone goes say, hey, who's the winemaker for the, not just the label alone, right? Like what are some ways that you approach wine? Do you approach it that way? Does that matter to you?
Yeah, it did. It always did, right? Because like, you're like, because most of the winemakers that don't own the wineries and that are young, they always have their own project. And so that's how you can get it. So you look at O'Shaughnessy, right? Sean Capio, and then he came out with Capio. It's like, so I was always following the winemaker, and that's what I taught in my first sommelier job, was like, no, follow the winemaker. Like they make Robin Mondavi, right? Like the winemaker there, but they have their own small project, and they're putting their heart and soul into that. Right, and like that's where you want to like follow them and probably get like your best, quality to ratio wines is because they're putting so much into it. I always think about food when I go to a retail shop. I've always trained our people to talk about, so most wine is consumed within 48 hours of purchase from a wine shop. So it's like, generally it's to be enjoyed with a meal. So what are you eating? Right? That whole idea, if it grows together, it goes together. Local, in most wine regions, they made the local wine to go with the local food cuisine. So you can follow that all throughout Europe. And so trace the origins of the dish. And normally there's a wine that's made in that area locally. So that's one way to do it. I always talk about importer, Kermit Lynch. So if you think of an importer like Kermit Lynch, they vet. So what they're doing is that they're vetting the vignerons, right?
That was bothering me. Sorry.
Yeah. No, totally. Well, now that edge on that bottle, like on that foil is ripped, is kind of like I get a little PTSD. I'm like, but yeah, like that's one way of if you find a wine that you enjoy and you look back and it's it's from overseas, and there's an importer on the back, you might want to. That's another way is to follow the importer. So you can look at like Kermit Lynch, Skurnik, or there's so many different ones, but like the idea that they have vetted these wineries, they probably know their family, they know all the ins and outs, and so they've taken a lot of the guesswork out for you. So if your palate aligns with theirs, or like your style of drinking wine, then so I always say looking for the importer, follow the winemaker. What are you eating? What's the occasion? You know what I mean? Like, and then it comes down to like whether you enjoy it or not. I think a lot of American wine, it was made. So America, we invented the cocktail to cover up shitty booze during Prohibition, right? I remember coming to New York in 2004, and I was telling a friend of mine who lived in San Francisco, he had just moved to New York. I said, I'm going to this cocktail bar. He goes, why would you want to go to a cocktail bar? Like that, as far back as 2004, I mean, it's 20-something years ago, like cocktails hadn't garnered all this great acclaim.
And not like it is today.
He's like, what are you doing? And so the cocktail was invented during Prohibition because now the booze wasn't great. Right, it was being made in bathtubs. It wasn't any oversight. It was hooch. Right, it was made illegally, and so you had these speakeasy. They introduce fruit juices, sugar, like all those things to make a cocktail. And when you think about it, think about your favorite Clint Eastwood movie, right? Western. He'd come to town, he'd kick the saloon doors open, pony up to the bar, drop a sack of gold coins or some shit on there, right? And then he'd say whiskey. There was no bartender with a wax mustache back there, shaking any armbands on or shaking anything.
He just
put the bottle on the table, right? And maybe a shot glass. And so, I think a lot of wine is made to compete with cocktails. So when you think about New World style wines, riper wines. So this, to me, this wine is not a food wine in that sense that it's because it has it's like a standalone. It's like a cocktail wine, something that it's palatable to drink on its own. So a lot of old world wines, some of those aren't to American palates back in the day weren't. They called them food wines because they weren't palatable to drink just on their own.
Yeah.
Right. Like in that sense, for their American palate, which we've seen the American palate change, right?
Yeah.
So like kombucha, sour beer, natural wine. Right. Like you start to see American taste palate change, but the American palate is sweet.
Yeah.
And so that that's the kind of the same thing where well, what kind of wine do you want? Right. Like I think like so if you want something to go with food, understanding old world and new world and like those kinds of things. So like those are the things that help me simplify the wine world because it's so vast. You look at, if you split it down the middle, somewhat to speak, it's old world, new world.
Yeah.
And these are what new world, closer to the equator, riper, more fruit, more alcohol, right? Generally speaking, that's a generalization. Old world, less hot, cooler climates, less ripe means more acidity. Right, so having acidity means that you need food, right? Acid's an amplifier.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, thank you for that. So, you are the wine industry is in a state of emergency. Some would say you're. I don't know if it's safe to call you an elder statesman yet, but you're probably getting there, right? You're OG in the game. What do you think that the industry as a whole needs to do to reconnect with the new generation to kind of turn it around to get this, that people saying young people aren't drinking and all this kind of things. What are some approaches or ideas that you think you would have to kind of get it back in line?
Yeah, well, I think first is just really kind of understanding the situation. Like we're saying, young people aren't drinking, but like they're a product of COVID. Like we don't know the long tail of COVID. Everybody was drinking. Like the cells prove it. Like I just think that at some point I said, well, the world's just hungover, right? We started drinking at noon, right.
Yeah.
So I think that just people
parties, and
stuff like so the whole idea of like there's a reset, and I think it's a correction as well. The market is saying maybe there were too many wineries, maybe they were overproducing, right? Like it happens, and you see the correction happen in real estate, like all of those things. Now, how do you, I don't think they have a marketing problem. I think they have a relevancy problem, right? They're just not relevant in a way. And I think you need to show up in those places. It's about culture. Culture is the new marketing. Showing up in those places that your customers are there.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? So like they playing pickleball, y'all need to be out there.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? Having wine in those places, because you know what's there? When they playing pickleball, high noon.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like whatever that is, and what I always tell, marketing for wineries is like, well, what are you into? What do you find that most of your customers are into? But then also, if it's a family business, what are your heirs into? What are they doing? Right? You know what I mean? Like, and so I just think it's like showing up in the places that that wine is not showing up in those places, right? So think about the NBA and basketball, like basketball and wine, like how that has taken off. That they show up, that like wine showed up in a place. Like now you can go to at Barclays Arena, there's a courtside sommelier. Yeah. Right. So wine showed up in that place, and because it did, and now you have all these NBA stars. Drinking wine. Well, and it's funny because their entry level to wine, even though they never had it, starts here.
Yeah, of course.
right. I remember I was talking to them like, oh yeah, we were just drinking '08 Latoche. I was like, you didn't call me? Like what's happening, right? You know what I mean? Like, and so I always just think that that's interesting. It's like showing up in those places and how wine changed basketball culture in a way, because there was a really great article I think where Gabrielle Union was saying, oh, it used to be about the chain, the car, the house, the watch. Now it's about what bottle of wine you bring. And so that becomes part of the culture. Like, all of a sudden you're watching LeBron get a haircut and they drink in 1990 Latour. That changes the culture. Right? Like all of a sudden wine showed up at a barbershop. Right?
That's true.
And then and all of a sudden, like, so, it's just.
Do you think that there's a fear of, because they've done it a certain way for so long, there's a fear if we attempt to do it this new way, we'll lose instead of win.
Well, I think you lose control over it, right? I think everybody, like your brand, you don't want to lose control over it. You remember the whole Tommy Hilfiger thing?
Yeah.
You remember the whole Cristal thing where we didn't make it for those people, but like, and when I say culture, that's just, I'm not talking about the culture, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about everybody's individual culture, like showing up in those places where they're at, like, and I just think that like. Yeah, there's some fear of that, but for me, I don't have that. I was a kid that was raised on hip hop, skateboarding, and punk rock.
Yeah,
and fell in love with wine by watching Frasier.
Yeah.
Right. You see what I'm saying? And like for me, I've always looked at life as like about how do I put all my passions together.
Yeah.
And I just put all that shit together, and that's Maison Noir Wines.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? Like how we, it's just, I said, hey, we're gonna make T-shirts, and I treated the T-shirt company like a streetwear brand. But it was for wine, right? You know what I mean? And and so just treating it that way, like, okay, now you're not even like, you got to have like a cool T-shirt now, not one that just says your name or the brand on it.
Yeah.
We did stickers, like we just treated it differently. Like the culture that I came up in, I used marketing things for wine that way. I'm wheat paste and shit.
Yeah.
And like neighborhoods in the Lower East Side, right? Like just marketing and doing things differently, change, like just. I showed up and wine showed up in the culture that I came from. I put it there.
I want to get to that.
Yeah.
So, by you being a black man in the space, it's not a lot of you guys in the space. How was that even being accepted? And when you became like, now that you've been an authority for a while, but how was that even received, even in your early years, and how, from where you are now?
Yeah. Well, I answer this question a lot, and people say, "Well, how is it to be a black man in the wine business?" I said, "The same way that he's a black man in America."
In America,
right?
Yeah.
It's all the same, right? And like you learn that from an early age. But like what I always realize is that I got to choose how I felt about it, right? Like I never fell into that. I wouldn't even call it a trap. Just that mindset of like I didn't get something because of the way I looked.
Yeah,
I just kept it moving. I just kept it moving.
Yeah.
And also I think that like. It wasn't that I didn't have a right to demand that other people look like me in that space. It wasn't that. It was like my need to be around people who were into wine superseded my need to be around people who look like me. Right?
I know that's a big hang up because I say that oftentimes. I tell people that I know, and they're like, going to Napa, they're like, man, ain't no black people. I say, why I got to be a lot of black people?
Hold on. You know what I'm about to say? Hold on. I'm like, I be with them all the time.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Right. I know what you're saying, but it is a handicap of our culture.
Correct.
That we do carry, and understandably, we don't have to deep dive into it.
Totally.
I understand why it's there.
Correct.
But even in this room today, like I invited a couple of fellas who are here in the wine industry who come from different places, Detroit and LA, and they're doing their thing out here. They look like us and they're doing their thing. They weren't afraid to make those steps, kind of like how you are, kind of like how what I'm doing now, right?
Correct.
And so it's just it's just so interesting to me that we still kind of have that handicap to this day.
I think for me was like I didn't need to be the loudest about it.
Yeah.
Right? Like because also like I come to you come into a space and you're like, oh well, you ain't playing the music I like, so this ain't for me. It's like, well shit, this ain't your winery. Right? Like why like you know what I mean? So like, I think for me it was always about visibility. Like me showing up challenged the status quo just by showing up. By me showing it up, it showed other people who look like me that this is a space for them. I didn't have to be loud about it or talk about it because it's obvious.
Yeah, yeah.
And also I think for me, it set me apart. Right? They didn't forget me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
They might have thought less or like whatever that might have been.
Yeah.
But it didn't stop me. And I never felt like, I'm sure there were things I didn't get because of what I looked like, but I didn't worry myself about that. It was just like I'm doing this thing. And my thing is like, I wanted to be one of the best. I didn't want to be one of the best that look like me. I want to be the best.
Yeah.
I want to work for the best.
Yeah.
Right? And I get all the other part of it, but like I think for me was just by being in the space and doing well and striving for being the best. Not only was I, an inspiration for people who look like me, but an inspiration for people who wanted to do what I did, no matter what they look like. Yeah. But also I'm aware, I can't not be aware
Yeah.
of when I walk to a room.
Yeah.
Right. And well, it's less of this now, but what it used to be fun was like, they never saw you coming. Right. You know what I mean?
Couldn't stop what you don't see coming.
But what was fun about it is that most rooms, when I walked into them, by most people in that room, by their mindset, I knew the least about wine. Mm-hmm. And I love that part, right? Because you were unexpected.
Yeah.
Now it's a little different, you know?
Yeah.
Now it's a little different. You're like, oh my God, okay, oh yeah.
Okay. I want to switch it up a little bit.
Yeah.
You hip hop head.
Yep.
Are you, and if you, okay, we're going to go back to the CD days.
Okay.
In your CD.
Not tape?
In your car, you got the 10 disc CD disc.
Yeah.
Was it more East Coast? Was it more Southern? Was it more West Coast?
So Southern was kind of barely there. So it was all of that.
Okay.
But what I would say is like, I grew up I spent the first 15 summers of my life in Trenton, New Jersey.
Okay.
And I remember my mom was like, I just don't want you to forget where you come from. Uh-huh. And so that was always such fun. It was about independence. So I was there. I was living with my aunt. So like I had parent supervision, but my parents weren't there, right?
So what you gonna say, Red Man?
No. So like this is it. So I'm talking about. I'm going like LL. I came from that era.
Yeah.
Like, like Biz Markie, like you know, The Dark Knight. You know, I'm talking about
LL top 5 in my book.
And, you know, Big Daddy Kane, like Grand Poobah, like I grew up in that era. Like so that was the start of it. And then, you know, then I moved, and then I lived in Texas. So then now you got like UGK, so like some underground stuff before it was big. And then, you know, I think the first CD that I bought was Ice Cube's America KKK.
Yeah.
Right? I was in
classic.
I think it was in high school. It was 1990. Yeah, dude, we used to wear those fucking guest overalls and shit with the pocket in the front.
Yeah.
And it was just large enough that the CD player, because you know they were kind of like squares, would fit right in the middle. And then I wear headphones.
Yeah.
But I'm from like you know, tape deck, like
Super
Sony Walkman.
I mean, I had too.
Schoolie D, I was in all that.
I always tell the story. I say if I ever, you know, I never met him, but I always say I literally got put on punishment because my mom found a Too Short tape.
Oh yeah, yeah.
She found it was Blowjob Betty.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was a jam, bro. Or the Freaky Tales.
Freaky. Yeah. So it's just, even with the hip hop, I asked that question because, like, in the world of wine, where would you put, like, do you think that wine is just like how hip hop is, how certain regions produce a certain style, a certain flavor? Is that like, if you were to say, you know, what would you call East Coast wine and hip hop, or what wine would you put in East Coast style hip hop? What wine would you say this is like West Coast?
Yeah,
music?
no, totally. Yeah, I mean, like, you know, like West Coast, you know, so like the East Coast, West Coast in rap is different.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so, because wine, like, they make wine in the East Coast, but like it's still got some, you know, it's got some way to go.
Yeah.
Right. Just kind of like California rap had some time to grow.
Hold on. You can't say that in California.
No, I can't say that.
No,
I can say that. Like, who was here? But I'm going way back. Right. You like I'm going like Father MC.
Okay.
Right. Like, you know, like, so like when you talk about early stages of rap, it was invented in on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm not taking anything away. What I'm saying is that it took a minute for that to happen. Right. Yeah. So like, you might have had Too Short here, E40. Right.
For sure.
Right. But like there was
MC Hammer. I ain't going to.
Well, no. But I mean, like before that, like, so you had like, what's it? But what I'm saying is that you had so much more rappers,
right.
And
it was started in New York.
Yeah. But then California is the OG, like in that, like on the wine side. So yeah, no, it's Goliath, like, you know, it is death row. You know what I mean? It is Snoop and Dre. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that whole style, like the laid back, like that kind of thing. But no, I mean, yeah. The wine region could be broken down in the same way because each region produces something different. Yeah. It's culturally what they talk about, what they produce. So like what they rap about on the East Coast is like, you know, stick up kids in the stairwell, the projects. They don't really talk about that out here because they ain't living projects like that, right? Right. It was public housing, but it was different, right? Yeah. Like it was drive-by shootings there, right? But like there it was stick up kids, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. So it was different in a way. So you rapped about what you knew. Wine region, same thing. They produced wines from what they knew. The grapes that were indigenous there, that were there. Like there were some implants, right? Like, you know, Pac came from East Coast, came from California. Then so like all of those things, I think, change and shape you. But I don't know. And what's interesting to me is that what I understood about hip hop and how massive it was is that no matter what you look like or where you came from, we all grew up on it. Like, so when my colleagues, when we worked at restaurants, no matter what they look like, we all grew up on it. We all grew up on it. We all knew the same songs. They had their favorites, right? And it was such a huge cultural thing, rap music. Like, it started out something small, and then it grew culturally. Like, I'm looking at all these people that grew up on the same music, so they get the same references, and that's what was really fun. I got
a buddy. He works for a big financial firm, manages billions of dollars, right? And we're like trading text messages back and forth for like hip hop. He's listening to the grungiest. If you were to walk in his office and never knew him, you'd be like, he listens to that, So it's just funny. That's the universal appeal. That's kind of like then that's what wine is. It's a universal appeal, and what and what you've done in your journey. It's a universal appeal, and I thank you for that. And I just want to take this time out to shout you out and say thank you for what you've done in the world of wine. Thank you for being an inspiration and being a forerunner. Because even what I want to do with this platform, I want to highlight not just the wine in the world and all that it could be, but that there's people like us who could come into it and do major things. I want people to see that, And so I thank you for coming on the podcast.
I'm just getting started, brother.
You just getting started? We don't got to end.
No. That's the podcast. You just getting started. In general.
Well, but you've accomplished so much thus far, and I know you're just getting started, but there's you've done a lot. If you were to say, hey, I'm going to retire and I'm going to go back and wash dishes and never do nothing else, you put together a resume that's impeccable.
No, I don't know, man. I just I'm not big on reflecting. Like, that's the curse.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think in hindsight, everything's 20/20. So you could see, I don't do a lot of reflections. Otherwise, I would be on the floor in the fetal position.
Yeah.
All I know is just
keep going forward.
Is the go. Yeah. And what's great, I think, is like being in a position now that that the opportunities come to you and you get to decide. Yeah. So each day does feel like somewhat like Christmas. Yeah. Because the opportunities come, and you're just like, oh shit, I never thought about that. Would I want to do that? Mm-hmm. That could be fun.
Yeah.
And then also, I feel like by being out there in the front or amongst the people in the front, you get to shape what it looks like to be what it is.
Yeah.
What is it to be a rock star sommelier?
Yeah.
What do you do? And I don't get caught up on the bullshit. I did something with Cracker Barrel and somebody was mad. I was like, shit, where I come from, that red Cracker Barrel cheese, that was luxury.
Yeah.
Where I came from, you know what I mean? It was like government cheese or that cheese, right? So I'm true to it in that way. That, the idea of being able to put things that I grew up on in the past and marry them with my newfound passion is great. Yeah. And to be able to be in the spotlight, to be able to show people that it's okay to be who you are.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I get a lot from a lot of people. It's like somehow by watching me, they feel like they are allowed to be who they are.
Yeah.
And that's all I could ever ask for.
So since we're not reflecting, as we wrap it up, what's on the horizon for you coming up? What are some things that you or not even that you have coming up? What do you want to do? What's something you haven't done that you're like, I want to do that?
I don't know. Jump out of a plane. I don't know.
Skydive?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Skydive with a bottle of Bordeaux?
You're like, hey. No. I just think keep pushing the envelope, but also keep learning. This whole thing, because you're the host of this show, you know a lot more about wine than you ever did. Mm-hmm. You become an expert, right? And that way, right? Mm-hmm. And I think for me, same way. Just continuing to meet people, to push push myself and not become complacent. Mm-hmm. Put myself in hard situations, right? I think there was a couple years of my life where I found I would say, to my friends, it's I'm not having the right conversations, right? And I'm not challenging myself in the way that I should be pushing myself. Mm-hmm. So that's the goal, is to continue to push myself. I got a new book coming out. It's kind of some of the same stuff. I'm working on a few TV shows. Okay. I think in the way that would be able to push me. But also I just want to continue to learn and to still be able to engage with my curiosity, right?
like that.
I think in the wine industry, I think what brings us all together is a certain level of curiosity. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's this beverage, but we're all curious about it.
Yeah,
and it brings these remarkable people that have lived remarkable lives.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, it's like I was telling someone, it's like, oh yeah, no, so and so, he's actually is a rocket scientist, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's people that have lived many different lives, and I think that's what's fascinating in the people.
Yeah.
So,
well, thank you for coming on today,
no,
man.
Thanks
I
for
really
having me.
appreciate it, man. You've done a lot, and let's cheers.
Is
man.
it over already? God damn, it's done. It's done.
I mean, I don't want to hold you too long.
Nah, I'm just joking. I had a really good time. I always have that feeling. I was like, did we get it all?
I mean, we were here for a minute. I don't know. I didn't
good.
Yeah,
did I say anything?
Yeah, my guys in the back, like,
Did I say anything? Like, I'm like, did I say anything intelligible? We good?
Of all you said, I picked up that 50,000. We got to talk about that 50,000 on camera. I need to get signed up for a TED Talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. It's like, I remember when my friend first told me that. He's a chef. He says, get you a book and get on the circuit. And he talked about 10.
Yeah.
I was like, word?
Yeah. So I got to write a book first.
No, yeah, you can, but like you do the podcast, you can do it. I mean, it's so many days to work it, but I was like, and it's ridiculous. Like it's like,
hey, we gonna talk about this.
Yeah, no. Cut. I'm sorry.
Hey, I appreciate you, Andre, man. You're the man.
I'm just trying to share the game. That's
yeah. Hey, we're coming up on 1 year. We've been in the podcast space for 1 year, so you are hitting. You are really at the 1 year anniversary mark, and I'm just so excited to take this. Man, to higher heights, and you are proof that it's going to happen. So good. I thank you for coming on. You guys, I know you guys are going to be excited waiting to see this one. We're going to have some more exciting guests here on Meet Me in Napa. Mason Fior, thank you for letting us use your space today. We are so appreciative.
Wine is fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, here on 2nd Street. What's the address here? 1408 2nd Street here in Napa Valley, Napa, California. If you guys please stop by and get some great wines. Once again, see my guy Antonius. Yeah, you got to see my guy Antonius. He's the one that facilitated this whole thing. So thank you guys. We'll see you on the next episode of Meet Me in Napa. Peace.